You're 71. You sold the house, packed the boxes, and moved across the state. Just to be closer to your kids. You imagine more dinners together. More visits from the grandkids. More help when things got hard. But weeks pass. And they're always busy. They call, but don't come. They come, but only need things. And one afternoon, while folding laundry alone in your new place, you whisper, "Did I just trade my independence for disappointment?" We don't talk about this enough. Moving closer to your adult children sounds like the smart, loving, logical choice, especially after 60. But sometimes that decision shrinks your world, limits your freedom, and slowly breaks your heart. This video isn't about turning away from family. It's about telling the truth. Just because they're your children doesn't mean living near them will make your life better. In this video, we'll talk about 7 hidden reasons why living near your kids may feel like a mistake. What can quietly go wrong, even when no one has bad intentions. And how to stay connected without giving up your autonomy, dignity, or peace. I moved closer thinking I'd be needed. But now I feel like I'm just nearby in case they get desperate. Or this, I became the unpaid babysitter. No one asked if I was okay. But it's not all bad. Some people thrive living near their kids. The point isn't to judge. It's to think carefully, set boundaries early, and protect the life you've worked so hard to build. You can love them deeply and still live on your terms. Let's begin. They have their own lives, and you may not be part of them the way you hoped. Joan is 72. She moved just 10 minutes away from her daughter's family. She imagined surprise visits, warm dinners, spontaneous chats. But what she got was this. "Sorry, Mom. Today's crazy. I meant to call you back, but we had soccer, then work. Can we reschedule dinner again?" And, week by week, Joan realized something painful. I'm close, but I'm still not part of their lives. The first truth. Your children are adults now, and their world is already full. Moving closer doesn't guarantee they'll make space for you in it. Their lives are crowded. Work, kids, appointments, marriage stress, constant fatigue. Even if they love you deeply, they may simply not have the capacity to include you the way you imagined. And that hurts. You thought being nearby would create warmth, but often it only creates expectation, followed by disappointment. What this feels like. You sit at home, hoping they'll drop by, and they don't. You offer help, but they say we've got it, until they need babysitting. You feel invisible, unwanted, but also too proud to admit it. You slowly stop reaching out, not out of anger, but protection. This isn't rejection, it's real life. But if you're not prepared for it, it can feel like a personal failure. What you can do: manage your expectations early. Don't assume proximity equals connection. Ask, what rhythms can we realistically create together? Create a full life of your own, even nearby. Friends, hobbies, routines that don't depend on them. Say this softly to yourself. I moved closer, not to be included, but to still be independent. I thought I'd be part of their everyday life, but I'm not part of the plan. Just the backup. Deeper truth. Being near doesn't mean being needed, and being needed doesn't always feel like being loved. You may slowly lose your independence without noticing. George is 74. When he moved closer to his son's family, it felt good at first. Help with groceries, rides to the doctor, someone checking in. But then, his son started calling the shots. Dad, I'll handle your bills from now on. Don't go out today, just rest. You don't need that old car anymore, do you? And little by little, George began to feel like a child in his own life. The second truth. Sometimes living close means people stop seeing you as capable. Even when you are. It doesn't start with malice. It starts with care. But care can turn into control, especially when adult children forget. You are still an adult, with opinions, with agency. with your own rhythm. And slowly, their help becomes pressure to change your habits, over-involvement in your daily decisions, assumptions that you can't manage without them. What this feels like. They take over without asking, and call it love. You feel patronized, but stay quiet to avoid conflict. You stop trusting your own judgment. You start doubting, am I really not able to live like I used to? This erosion of independence is subtle, but powerful, and it chips away at your confidence. What you can do: define your boundaries early. Say, I appreciate help, but I want to keep managing my own life. Ask for support, not take over. Could you help me with this one thing, but let me handle the rest? Say this to yourself with pride. I may be older, but I still deserve my autonomy. I didn't realize how much I'd given up until I had to ask permission to go for a walk alone. Deeper truth: help becomes harm when it replaces your voice with theirs. Respect means support, not surrender. Have you ever felt like your independence was slowly slipping, not because of illness, but because someone else thought they knew better? Type #2 inches in the comments if this felt familiar, or just whisper it to yourself. I still choose for me. Closeness can lead to control, not connection. Marina is 69. She moved into the apartment just 3 blocks from her daughter. She thought they'd become closer, but instead, the dynamic changed. Fast. Her daughter started commenting on everything. You shouldn't eat that. Don't wear that. It's not flattering. You're walking too much. What if you fall? And then came the judgmental silences, the disapproving looks, the unsolicited advice about everything from her friends to her spending. Marina realized, I'm not being loved, I'm being managed. The third truth: being nearby doesn't always strengthen the bond. Sometimes it just magnifies the pressure. Adult children may think they're helping, but often they fall into patterns of criticism instead of curiosity, fixing instead of listening, controlling instead of supporting, especially when they feel entitled to shape your choices simply because you live close. And when that happens, love starts to feel like a leash. What this feels like: you walk on eggshells to avoid triggering their opinions. You start hiding things just to maintain peace. You feel less like a parent and more like a supervised elder. You wonder if moving closer actually made the relationship worse. And worst of all, you feel less free in the name of love. What you can do: name the shift, gently but clearly. I feel like you're managing me, not connecting with me. Redirect the dynamic. I'd love your advice when I ask for it. Protect your space, physical and emotional. Let visits, favors, and boundaries have clear limits. They mean well, but I feel like I'm always being watched, not welcomed. Deeper truth: closeness without respect creates pressure, not peace. Love that suffocates is not love. It's control in disguise. You'll start living with silent expectations and quiet disappointments. Victor is 75. He moved into a condo just 15 minutes from his daughter's family. He thought it would mean Sunday lunches, maybe weekly visits, maybe just someone stopping by with groceries once in a while. But months passed, and none of it happened. He didn't complain, didn't ask, didn't want to be a burden. But every missed visit, every text left unanswered, it left something behind. Not anger, but quiet sadness. The fourth truth: unspoken expectations will quietly break your heart. And when you live close, you have more chances to be quietly let down. You don't say anything because you don't want drama. You don't demand because you love them. But deep down, you hoped they'd invite you more, help a little more, show they cared, without you having to ask. And when they don't, you feel silly for hoping, ashamed for expecting, alone, in the very place you moved to feel closer. What this feels like: you hear the grandkids were at the park, and no one told you. You see photos online of a family dinner. You weren't invited. You sit by the phone thinking, maybe today. You feel invisible, but also guilty for feeling that way. And so the silence grows between what you hoped and what really is, what you can do. Speak early, not when it's too late. Here's what I imagined when I moved closer. Let's talk honestly. Let go of fantasy and build new agreements. I'd love to have dinner once a month. Could we make that a thing? Say this softly to yourself. Their pace doesn't reflect my worth. I can create joy without waiting to be included. I didn't expect everything, just something. And now I feel embarrassed for hoping. Deeper truth, they may love you deeply and still disappoint you regularly. That's not failure. That's life. But don't let unspoken dreams become quiet grief. True closeness has nothing to do with the distance. Elaine is 70. Her son lives in the same city, 10 minutes by car. They barely speak. Her sister, on the other hand, lives 2 states away, and they talk almost every day. They laugh, they cry, they check in. One day, Elaine said, "It's not about how close they live, it's about how close they feel." The 5th truth. Living nearby doesn't guarantee connection, and living far doesn't mean disconnection. We've been taught that being close fixes everything, that if you're nearby, it'll be easier to talk, easier to get help, easier to feel loved. But emotional closeness is built through intentional effort, respect, communication, shared space in the heart, not the map. You can live across the street and feel lonely, or live across the country and feel seen, loved, and supported. What this feels like. You see their house, but not their faces. You hear their car, but not their voice. You get dropped off groceries, but not a hug. You live close, but feel more alone than ever. And over time, you realize, maybe I chase proximity instead of connection. What you can do. Define what closeness really means to you. Is it being needed? Being appreciated? Being included? Stop chasing location. Start nurturing relationship. Let's talk once a week. Can we have a shared dinner once a month, even over video? Say this to yourself, and believe it. Where I live doesn't determine my value. How I'm loved does. My daughter lives 5 minutes away, but I feel closer to my online book club than to her. Deeper truth. Geography means nothing if the heart isn't invited in. True connection is never measured in miles. It's measured in meaning. You don't owe anyone your proximity, only your peace. You moved closer because you love them, because you wanted to feel needed, because you imagined warmth, support, togetherness. But now you've seen the other side of closeness. The invisible expectations, the quiet disappointments, the shift in control, and the shrinking of self. And maybe for the first time you're realizing, I don't need to live nearby, I need to live on my own terms. Let's remember the 5 truths we uncovered. They have their own lives, and you may not fit in like you imagined. You can lose independence quietly, while everyone calls it help. Closeness can feel like pressure, not peace. Expectations left unspoken often become regrets left unhealed. Distance means nothing if hearts aren't open, and everything when they are. You don't owe your proximity to anyone, not even to your children. What you owe yourself is dignity. What you deserve is calm. And what you still have is choice. This doesn't mean cutting people off. It means rethinking the equation. Could you live a little further and feel freer? Could you stay where you are and build new connections? Could you stop chasing closeness and start cultivating peace? Yes, you can. Because here's the quiet truth. You were a parent for decades. Now you're a person again, with a right to your own life. Whether you live near, far, or somewhere in between, choose the place where your soul feels open, your schedule feels yours, and your joy feels steady. What you can do now. Take inventory. Are you living where you thrive or where you serve? Start a gentle conversation with your adult kids, not from anger, but clarity. Set one new boundary or one new rhythm that brings you home to yourself. And most of all, it's okay to choose distance if it brings you peace. Have you ever moved closer to your kids and felt like something wasn't quite right? Leave a comment, even just, #5 inches. If this video gave you something to think about, your voice might help someone make a better choice for their future. Right finger. Subscribe to Speech Balloon Longevity Talks Herb. Because aging wisely isn't about staying near, it's about staying whole.